So, after listening to what others have had to say about Masters of the Universe Revelation, like I said, a majority of the videos on here will basically target a lot of the bad that came out of the first half here of this 10 episode limited series. But, when I listen to the likes of Grace Rudolph and several others, yeah, there are a lot of things that people like myself and Clownfish and many others have kind of criticized about that was not necessary, that made the show bad, made it unwatchable, made it basically not something that was like I said before, originally promised. When I hear what they say in those reviews from their own personal experience, I also hear them talking about some positives, like Grace Rudolph of Beyond the Trailer. She actually said she enjoyed it, but as I said, she pinpointed a lot of the stuff that a lot of other people pinpointed about it that was that was basically told to us was not going to be in there, but yet pretty much is. And I'll give Grace a lot of credit. She was very, very fair on that, and there are others that are the same way. But like I said before in the other video, the reason we're mad at it, the reason fans are upset, if you will, and they have a right to be, is basically the fact that we were promised one thing and we got something else. And what's funny is I was watching one of the other YouTubers here, called the Junkman, and although he did kind of point out some of the things that we pointed out, as fans ourselves, that he said something in his review that I think Kevin Smith and Ted Biaselli should have used when this show started to come out. When Kevin Smith started to backtrack a little bit and point the finger towards Ted, and I think Ted now is doing somewhat the same thing, or he's keeping silent or whatever. But if I was mostly Kevin Smith and I was trying to backtrack and make up for what I was saying, instead of continuously going back and forth of apologizing but still blasting the fans and the critics, I think if I was Kevin Smith, on the day that the show officially debuted on Netflix, I would have came out and said, yeah, just to let you know, I know we said and promoted that this series was going to be this kind of series, that it was going to be a sequel, direct sequel, spiritual sequel, all that. But in reality, what it is, it's basically an Eternia in an alternate universe. This is basically, a sequel that takes place in a what-if scenario. And that's all he would have to say, because when Junkman talked about his experience, he gave it more of a positive look. Like I said, he did point out some of the negativity, which that we as other viewers have pointed out, like the lies and everything that Kevin Smith would throw out there, saying it's not what we heard it was going to be, but then it turned out to be exactly that. One thing he did say, like I mentioned, is he basically looked at this as a different Eternia, a different universe, if you will. And to me, as I just mentioned, and kind of pretended to be Kevin Smith there for a moment, if I was Kevin Smith on the day it debuted, I would have just came out and admitted that. I would have came out, apologized for promoting it one way when it really wasn't going to be that, and just came out and said that what it really is an alternate universe that's similar to the original universe, but it's a little bit more violent, darker, and the characters are going to be slightly different, especially when they get upset about things, or especially when certain revelations are made and discovered. And I think if he would have done that, honestly, like I said, perhaps this show wouldn't have gotten the criticism and the hatred and the disdain it's been getting, and the critical downscore that it's been getting from a lot of fans that were looking forward to this. So to me, I have to give credit to the Junkman here on YouTube that, he kind of had a point. That, in a way, when you think about it, this is an alternate universe. I mean, when you take a look at the top of the packaging for the toys being sold, it says Masterverse. And we should all know, and that's the one thing that we should have caught right there. And I think that is on us a little bit, because that is one thing we should have caught, that when it says, when anything, I should say, says verse on it, that basically is that company's way of talking about or saying that what you're about to experience is a multiverse of possibilities with the franchise or various franchises. And when I look at the fact that Masterverse is plastered not just on the figures, the toys, the collectibles for Revelation, but when I see it plastered on the boxes for the toys for the upcoming CGI He-Man series, Masters Universe series, then to me that should say it all. That should tell us everything we need to know, that what we got here, this is basically a Masters of the Universe that takes place in an alternate universe. That's what it is. It's a Masters of the Universe that takes place in an alternate universe, and we have to start looking at it like that. Like, this is not the Filmation verse. This is, the Power Animation verse. This is the dark verse, if you will, of of Masters of the Universe. That's what it is, of the He-Man franchise. That's what it is, and we need to start looking at it like that, because although we still have a right to be upset with Kevin Smith and Ted Biaselli, for doing what they did to the series, and not telling us exactly what we were really getting, even though we still have the right to be like that and call them out for any other BS they may try to throw our way. I think in the long run, a lot of us that are critical about this, but are still willing to probably give it a chance, at least watch it, we have to go into it, and we have to go into it as, we're watching something new. Like, we gotta imagine to ourselves that it's another time, another place. And I bring that up ironically because that's what the Sonic comics did under the Archie license. Anytime they wanted to differentiate, a Sonic story in the main book, whether it was a backup story or it was a main story, they would always put in a little yellow box, they'd always put the caption, another place, another time. And I think that's how we have to look at, Masters of the Universe Revelation. This is another place, another time. This is an alternate universe. And, it's similar to what we, saw in the Filmation series, but, to a point, but then afterwards it goes in an entirely different direction, and that, to me, is what signals the fact that it's an alternate universe, in my opinion. There, drinking some G Fuel to keep me going. It's early. It's about 6:28 a.m. Pacific time. But yeah, that's the way I think we have to look at it. The fact that this is an alternate universe, and it's another time, another place. So I have to give Junkman a lot of credit on that. I really do. Like I said, we could still be mad, and we have the right to be. When it comes to this series and the fact that Kevin Smith, lied to us and, about what it was going to be, and it turned out not to be that. We still have the right to be angry with him and Ted Biaselli and anybody else that tries to, continuously back that up and try to, continuously, throw shade at us and, continuously light the, fire with more gasoline poured onto it. But in the end, we can all stick by what we say. I still stick by what I said, that I feel that this is nothing more than one of those serious animated series or live action series that's really a parody and a satire that you're supposed to take seriously. I still stick by that. And I also stick by the fact that, like others have said, if you like the series, that's cool. That's that's your right. If you enjoyed it, we're not saying you shouldn't. All we're saying is that, Kevin Smith shouldn't have lied for the past several weeks, past several months, and the past year. If it says it's going to be one way through the synopsis when the show's first announced at PowerCon a couple years back, then you should stick to what that is. You shouldn't try to, try to change that, try to say it's not that when your own official synopsis says it is. So, again, the way I look at it, honestly, we still have a right to, stick by what we said and continuously criticize Smith or Biaselli or anybody else in the show that, tries to defend, what it is, and not being what we were promised. But I think we also have to look at it from this perspective, and again, credit goes out to the Junkman here on YouTube. I think we have to look at it from this perspective, that it's an alternate universe, an alternate reality that's similar to the Filmation verse to a point, and that point is basically the end of the first episode, and then it just goes off into its own thing. And that's how I think we have to look at it. Again, we could stick by what we said, we could stick by our criticizations, and everything towards Smith, towards Biaselli, towards the show itself, and anybody else that tries to defend it. But I think if we are willing to give it a chance, or if we're going to continuously hear people, as we're being told by others, rant and complain, and cry and all that, which we are not doing. We are just venting, as I said in one video, my previous video that is. We're just venting, we're letting, our feelings be known on this situation. Even if we're willing to do all that, we have to start viewing the series as being an alternate universe and an alternate reality, alternate timeline. That's what we gotta look at. Alternate reality, alternate timeline, alternate universe, alternate timeline. Another place, another time. We gotta look at it that way, and not continuously look at it as being something that we were hoping it was supposed to be. Because yes, does it still anger us in a way that, that we have a right to, as I mentioned, to vent our frustrations, vent that anger, and let it be known how we feel about it? Absolutely. We still have that right, just like those that still have the right to enjoy it. But I look at it this way. When we do get a chance to sit down and give it a chance and see exactly what all this praise is about, if you will, or even after we've seen it the first time and not liked it, and decide, okay, we're going to see it again to see maybe if we were wrong about it, what we need to do is just, sit back and think of it as another version of Masters Universe that takes place in an alternate reality, an alternate time, alternate timeline, another place, another time. That's what we got to look at. We just got to look at it as an alternate universe, and that's about it. So let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during premiere. I do apologize if I was repetitive or I seemed a little sluggish. Like I said earlier, it's early in the morning. It is now 6:32 a.m. Pacific time on this Wednesday. Excuse me there. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below, as well as in the live chat during the premiere, and I will talk to you all later.